This morning we want to present what we have, the new way EMS is going. That is the Golden Supporter Initiative, which I believe many of you have heard about it by now. And if you've heard about it, but you don't have the explanation, then this is an opportunity for you to also have an understanding on where we are going, number one. Number two, also to sign up and become a golden supporter of EMS. May God bless us as we go through. So what we have this morning is Christian witness that transforms society. Christian witness that transforms society. You definitely know that we need a transformation in our society with all the current evils and social ills that we have in our society. And we want to cash in on all the mishap and all the ugly scenario and opportunities that we have in this country. And we can cash on that. Now, the name Christian witness by itself is chosen deliberately, because the name, what you give to abstract nouns, will form your perspective about what those abstract nouns will be. And so we choose over it more than other words. Why? Because in most cases, when you use other words, it connotes certain things. For instance, if you use the word evangelism, it connotes people going to streets, or people traveling, or people on street corners talking about the gospel. But we chose Christian witness basically because Christian witness is the declaration of the gospel by word and by life and by deed. And by life, we refer to the fact that we are the gospel. We are the 66 books of the Bible. People read our lives and think they understand what it means to be a Christian. And then by word, we refer to the need to say the gospel story and invite people to make it their own story. And by deed, we refer to the fact that the Christian faith, at its best, is an active faith, faithfully engaging the evil structures of the day, engaging people of other faiths especially, and trying to make sense of the evil that we make of this world and make it better for life and for the enjoyment of life. Now, in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 33, the Bible talks about when the children of Israel were in diaspora, one of the questions they ask is, in verse 10, he says, "Son of man, say to the Israelites, this is what you are saying, our offenses weigh down on us and we are wasting away because of them. How now shall we live?" And I think in this country too, we have that question, how now shall we live for God's sake with all the evils and with all the attacks all over going on in the whole country? And sometimes we are caught in the quagmire of confusion. What do we do and how we do it? Now, while the Jews also were in the same condition, and they asked themselves, how now shall we live? And as a church today, as ECWA today, also we don't know where to go. I know when the crisis was going on with Miango, I was seated together with a few people, maybe they're here in this room, and we are asking, what do we do? How can we solve the evils? And how can we check the menace of the society? Now, you notice that there is a growing church crisis and our hampered Christian witness. Every single church seems to be going through crisis. And as ECWA, we are not exempt from such crises. Apart from that also is the fact that the Christian witness is also growing dim. And then we have the growing Christian values. Values are growing lower, and Christianity is even going out of the lives of all of us in a way. And then there is a rising wave of crime, of banditry, of persecution, and all the things we see in our society. And then the growing trend of cultural revival. Those of us on the plateau definitely know that we are actually having a struggle with the revival of cultures where people stand naked. And then these are Christians. And if you travel to some of these communities, you find on Sunday service when they are doing these cultural things, even people who are church workers will abandon the church and go to these things. And then how do we deal with that? And then we have increasing poverty. There is never a time that we have been this poor in this country. And probably even here, people are struggling to eat and meet their basic needs. And then the colossal unproductivity of our ministry efforts. The more we work, the more it seems we are losing it. Everywhere. Probably it's better here in Jos, but if you go to places, you find that Christian values are being eroded every single day. And we have the infiltration of secularism and worldviews and creeping animism in our theology, especially what we have social media theologies. And street theologies are really springing up. And as evangelicals, we are caught up in the middle of all this. And our place, what is your place? What is my place? And then what is the place of ECWA in all these things? And especially what is the place of EMS? And we have a window, and the window is that we have the strategic nature of every change is the mission. And this is the biggest network in Africa that EMS and all of us that have created to change the narrative of ugly of our history. And then, but we have a pressure, no money, there are issues of staff, there are issues of, so there is so much pressure from all over. But your place and my place, what can we do about it? Now, and then the opportunities before us. One of the things we fail always to ask is, what time are we in history? Because if we are going to do the work of missions, we have to be able to delimit the fact that what time are we together in history. For instance, in Africa, what time is it for Africa in this 21st century and in the present scenario that we have? Number two, what time is it for us sub-Saharan Africans? What are we grappling with? And even if you come to sub-Saharan African, you have to deal with Anglophone and Francophone sub-Saharan Africa, because they are two different nations. They are two different perspectives and two different worldviews. So if we want to attack evangelism in a way that it will deepen and cause a major change, we have to look at this from this point of view. And then what time is it for Nigeria, and what time is it even for Jos, for instance? What time is it for Jos? What are we struggling with? And even if you come to Jos, for instance, if you ask me to work, and I work with substance abusers, and you ask me to work in Tudunwada, I'm going to devise a different program that I'll work in Genta, because there are two different things that are happening around this area. So what do we do with it? If we understand where we are, then we are able to do what? To create the needed energy and strategy. We'll be able to combine the energy and strategy together. Because what we need to do now is a takedown. We need to take down the whole system and bring it to the glory of God. And if we understand where we are, we can do that. Now, we need to know, for instance, where we are. Where are we? Identity and purpose. Who are we as Nigerians? What are we struggling with? Second, we need to know where we are, location in the universe and our place. And then third, what went wrong? Making sense. How do we make sense of the poverty, of the crisis we are going through? How do we do it? And we have to get to that. And all the injustice and all the pain and all of that, where are we? And then what we must do, what must change and how? Now, I slow down on how, because in most cases as churches, the problem we have is not knowing what to do. We all know what to do. So see, look at me a bit. Churches want to go for missions. They gather the church. They ask for volunteers in the church. All fellowships come up. They hire buses, and they carry food items, and they carry clothes. That is what to do. But believe me, as soon as you do that in that church, as soon as your church does that, you are destroying the very mission field you are trying to destroy. So the problem of Africa has not always been is what in our missions, is how. The problem is how do we do it? And that is where we get it always wrong. If we don't know how, then we end up enveloping the people or entangling the people. And most of our mission fields and most of our people are either enveloped or entangled. What time is it? How past, present, and future fit into this big story? And that is very, very important. As a church, we need to know, that at the heart of transformational revival is seeking a better human story. For instance, we have the story of the Irigwe nation. We have the story of Birom nation. If you have to work with Birom people, you really have to know, why are Birom so educated at this level? At this level, most of the men are in the beer parlor. Why is it like that? Why are the Irigwe men? Most of the Irigwe men and women are in businesses. Few of them are educated. Why is the story? There is a story that drives every community. There is a story that drives you. I was saying it elsewhere. Why should somebody want to wed and he wants to wear a suit and 11 men want to wear a suit? It looks stupid. Why should somebody want to marry and buy mattresses and fridge for their daughter who is married? It's stupidity. Because you carry a story, and that story is driving you. And so if you have to understand, I have to give you a different story that works for life. If you go to Kenya, for instance, they will tell you, why is it that when you wed and you want to do Oshebi, to them it looks stupid. Why do you want to appear the same? He said the beauty of a wedding is that you appear in different colors. Those are storylines. And so we have to have what story we have. Any vision of a better human story must have its root in the story that makes sense. A story that makes sense. For instance, I have a daughter. I don't know how I will buy mattress, I will buy bed, I will buy fridge. My daughter is wedding. Why? I don't know how I will buy food and plates and send to her. Let them go and start buying plates there. Because I have a different story. It doesn't drive me. Why should you want people to come to your wedding, 1,000 people to come to your wedding? Why not 5? Why not 10? Those are stories. And the stories we carry, for instance, all of us, oh, that wedding was beautiful. Oh, there were many people. Those are stories. And those stories can either envelope you or mar you or or entangle you. A proper worldview can develop a community, and the wrong one can envelope it. It is important, therefore, for us as church to know that the evil we see and the grinding poverty that we see in this, our generation, is because of the story we carry. And those stories are from our cultures or some other cultures around us. The Bible is a narrative of God's redemptive work, and therefore it contains the story of Christian community. It is God's story about what God is doing. Isn't that beautiful? Therefore, to pursue human development as Christian means to understand where humanity is coming from and where it is going and how it can get there. Where is human beings coming from? How can it get there? I hope it works. Does it? Okay? So, to do the work of evangelism, we have to embrace the whole biblical story and the story that makes sense and gives moral direction. God's story is demonstrate how things were from the beginning and how things lost their way and how things became obliterated as a result of the fall. Things were bad from the fall. What that means is that if things were bad, then things have to be corrected. But how things through Jesus Christ can be changed. If I walk into a Birom culture through Jesus Christ, how the story of Birom people can change. And how when that is done, the story will come out in the end. So if I'm a missionary, I walk into a Birom culture, how do I change their story and collect the story that is this empowering, a poverty-driven culture, practices? How do I collect that story and replace it with a godly story? And when I do that, how does a Birom man look up in the end? How will he look like in the end? God's story is not just about what he has done. God's story is about what he's doing through us, even right now. And God is still writing the story. And you know one funny thing, incredibly, he has invited you and me to be part of rewriting the story of humanity. And what it means is that God is inviting us as Nigerians to write the story of the entire evils that is happening today in this country. This story of redemption, which began from the fall, working for the redemption of mankind and their fall and restoration. God's story demonstrates his unconditional love to a dying world without Christ. When we respond to this story, we respond to love as our narrative and weapon in engaging other faiths. You know what that means? Those who choose Jesus, therefore, choose the path of love in solving human evil. And that is very fundamental. When you choose the path of Jesus Christ, you've chosen that you are going to solve human story by love. They cannot be passive. No. We are not called to a life of passivism. Neither can they be violent. No, we are not called to be violent, but we are called to be non-violent activists by faithfully engaging the people of other faiths and the evil structures of the day, which means we have the arsenal, as we are, as a church, to face these evils. In fact, we are too many to do this because ECWA is said to be about 10 million people. We just need probably just 1 million people to change the ugly narrative of the day. And remember, when Pilate stood before the crowd and asked them, "Who do I release to you?" And they said, "Give us Barabbas." Now, you have to know that on that day, the fate of nations hung in the balance. The people, the crowd before Pilate that day were representing humanity. And then Pilate there was going to be a choice on how human problems would be solved forever. There were two Jesuses. One, Jesus, son of Joseph, and then one, Jesus, otherwise known as Barabbas. So there were two Jesuses. And both of them were revolutionists. Actually, some people think that Barabbas was actually a criminal. He was only a revolutionary. He was tired with the system. He was just like Saori in this country. He's tired with the system. He wants a change. He wants but he wants to do it through violence. He wants to do it through violence, kill them, destroy them, remove them by force. And then here was a Jesus who also was tired with the system. He wanted to boot the system, change it, and transform it, but by love. And so when Pilate stood before the crowd, he was asking the world to choose how they will solve human problem henceforth. And then when he said, "Who do I release to you?" And they said, "Give us Barabbas." The world, by that singular decision, decided that we will solve human problem henceforth through violence. And since then, the world never knew peace. And then Christ came from the back door and begin to invite one by one to say, hey guys, the world chose to change the world through violence, but you can decide as an individual to make a personal decision to change the world through love. For every single one of you seated this morning who accepted Jesus Christ, you have actually dropped the camp of violence into the camp of love. And that love is not pacifism, it's not violent, but it's a non-violent activism, faithfully engaging the world in changing the evil structures of the day. Therefore, our mission must seek to, in the deepest expression, create vibrant communities in which the basis of our faith creates a catalyst for addressing the challenges of human endeavor. Our faith is a culture-creating cult, and so have all the answers to the myriad of problems that bedevil our society, all of it. So our approach to the gospel must deal with the issues that bound the people. Our gospel must deal with the issues that must seek to deliver to mankind a personal savior that will free them from the bondage of sin, and at the same time grant them eternal life. And at the same time address the issues of human degradation. The gospel must deal with the pangs of poverty that sweep our society, bring its venom of pain and enslavement. Most of the abuse you see is actually because of poverty. It must work to create financial freedom among our teeming populace and promote sound health both in preventive and curative terms, value for qualitative and functional education, a robust, healthy social hub, and a well-informed Christian community imbued with both a short-term and a long-term approach to missions and changing the society. Now, the world is a spiritual, as you know, with two powers contending for the same territory. The devil, Satan, has already invaded creation and he has occupied its territory. And we can see that in this country. But God has launched a counter-offensive to reclaim his rightful domain. And you and I are God's soldiers in that ongoing battle. You know, I'm so happy that I'm in the lineup of those who will reclaim the evil structures of this country. You are in the lineup of that battle. So imagine yourself with all the arsenals and all the regalia that you need to fight. And the Bible describes it in Ephesians. And we are, as God's soldiers, we are therefore there to destroy these evil structures. Redeemed, we are therefore armed in the fight to extend the kingdom of darkness and what? And push back evil every single day. Push it an inch by inch, meter by meter, feet by feet, until we bulldoze all of it in this country. The fighting may be fierce, but we must not lose hope. You know why? Because what we are fighting is essentially a mopped-up operation. Even before we fight, we have won. Isn't that great? Before we fight, we have won. We have, therefore, the biggest outreach network in Africa, and we must take the lead by leading the biggest movement to evangelize the entire landscape of Africa. You know, and that is why we are introducing the golden supporter. Be the golden supporter. If we have to do this, you have to sign up this morning to be a golden supporter. And who is a golden supporter? The Golden Supporter Initiative is set up to deepen and broaden the gospel in a holistic way by building a network of partners, mobilizing resources with the view to expanding the gospel throughout Africa. See, we have only 1,600 missionaries amidst 10 million congregants. That is too low. Far too low. In fact, if you look at it, even though on the one hand we can boast that we are the biggest, on the other hand it's a shame that we have only 1,600 missionaries with all the fine theologians in ECWA. With all of you seated here, all we have is 1,006. Believe me, it's a sham if we look at it critically. So we are here to first thank you for all your years of support through the years, but again, we are sincerely grateful for all your endeavors. Those of you are pastors and you have supported in many ways, you have encouraged people to support. That is very great for you. But here, we are equally here to introduce you to the Golden Supporter Initiative. This will help us to make Christ. As a leading evangelical network, EMS has nearly 2,000 missionaries working in 19 countries among 200 people groups and 1,650 in the front line. Now look at me again, 1,650 supporters. That is also not too good. This includes groups and churches and individuals, just 1,600. Our sources of income are through supporters, donors, ECWA Grant, and ECWA Missions Week. This accrues about 750 million every year. I don't think we ever pass this. Accountant is here, right? We never passed this target in our time. This funding is large as it appears, but it's currently is very, very inadequate. Why? The exact number of the entire missionary is actually 1,000. All of us are 1,950. If you are going to pay us only 30,000, including the director and the accountant, and those of them who have been, I don't even receive much because, but those who are older, if we just pay us 30,000 per month, we need 709,000, a million, to pay just salaries. And we have never gotten beyond 750 million. So even though 750 million looks big, but it's actually a charade, right? So now this is where the Golden Supporter Initiative comes handy. Why? Who is a Golden Supporter? A Golden Supporter is anyone who is a part of the network of ECWA members or non-ECWA members who will commit to partnering with a minimum of 5,000 naira annually to support the work of mission through ECWA. The salary, what do we call salary? The last one, is it gross or net? Accountant, are you close? Which one? The one you receive at the end of the day? Net, okay, so great, I like that. So we want you to at least a minimum of, right. So now, many have asked the question, why the Golden Supporter? When people are already supporting MS through different platforms, why is this necessary? One, the reason why we want to do it is that we want to nurture the nature of funding and missions to change, and for missionaries, right? For over 20 years, the EMS supporters' contribution per month has been 20,000 naira, and the amount does not include missionaries' medical bills and pension contribution. That is why we owe about 200 million naira. We can't pay pension for the EMS staff. Other expenses include taking care of EMS widows by giving them a monthly stipend and other programs and all other administrative charges, so you didn't put all of them here, right? There is also the running of EMS Children's School, which consume huge capital. There is also the challenge of funding the cross-border mission in all of the 18 countries of EMS. See, for example, our expectation. If we are having just the normal, this is what we need in 2021 to fund what we have, 2.2 billion naira. This shows that the sources of income are grossly inadequate to sustain EMS, and they need to create a functional funding avenues to raise more funding. It was this idea that brought the Golden Supporter Initiative. From October 1 this year, all our missionaries will be on 2016 scale, 100%, except those of us in the office. And that is a step forward of faith. We are, even though we do not have the resources, we are saying we can't wait for that. Everybody will receive his full salary according to their qualification. This means everyone will receive his salary based on his qualification. Nobody again have to receive 20,000 naira or less from October 1. Nobody again have to do that. Now, we are coming up with so many welfare packages for missionaries in our mission fields to do well. The welfare of missionaries have to be of great importance. This is welfare includes not just being present condition, but equally their conditions when they retire. I want to retire as a missionary, as a big boy. You know what I mean? You know, you eat your chicken and you drink your tea, not this one that you are patching your life. Are you there? Number two, saturation campaigns. We want to conduct saturation campaigns throughout the country. So we have the program for the retired people, the program for civil servants, the program for you women, and everybody who is connected. We want to take, for instance, we can say, hey, civil servants or ECWA staff, anybody who is sign up. And then we take people from Plateau State, from Kogi State, and then we say, let's all join the retired people in Taraba State and spend the weekend. And then take students, youths, and students, we put them together in that category. Can we travel to any part of the country, all over the country? Let's go to Benue and preach the gospel for 1 week or for 2 weeks. Or let's go to Ghana, or let's go to Zambia, and let's do this. Let's plant churches. Those programs are going to come up by next year. You will see them coming up. So we want to do that. We hope to recruit volunteers. We have a large catch of people that are just idle. Especially, people want to go out and preach, but they don't have the opportunity. Now we are giving every single person the opportunity to do that in this country. You can sign up, and our media handles will begin to advertise them by next year, and then you can sign up for short-term mission trips in any part of the world you want to go. That we are going to do. We are praying that God will give us 5 brand new buses. May God help us. Our target is to extend EMS mission from 1,006, I tell you, to 5,000. Now, if only 30,000, we need 709 million. You can imagine when we have 5,000 missionaries. We want to expand it to, in the next few years, we should do that. Saturation campaigns are intended to plant several churches within a critically short time. Why? Because the time we are in right, the gospel is closing down. It's closing down. People are closing their doors to the gospel. The only thing we can do, we capitalize right now. This planting of churches, one church plant here, we want a coordinated, organized, and we are going to link up with every church, all their mission outfits, so that we can have a coordinated and organized and carefully crafted and mapped out mission strategy of planting churches. And we have to do that. This is also in a bid to check the evil of our society with the message of hope and salvation. Number 3, holistic gospel through our collective human capital development. Now, we have neglected this, and I just wonder how much resources we have in this country that, in our ECWA alone, that we cannot capitalize. So we are thinking that we should train our young people in all kinds of skills. And when I say skills, for instance, if I say welding for metal works, I don't mean the metal work you see on the street. I mean genuine metal work that is very professional, that they can build cars, they can build anything, genuine metal works, and they can go under the sea and do metal works. When I talk about carpentry, I don't mean carpentry that's work on the street, I mean professional carpentry. And we need to open workshops in all the DCCs in this country and make it viable so that our people can gain jobs. Jobs are not anywhere. We've been crying for the government to create jobs, and government will not do it, and we have to do it. We can take our destiny into our hands and not leave it in the hands of the government. We have the capacity and the propensity to do it by the grace of God. And here, therefore, is an opportunity for the teeming unemployed populate throughout our DCCs to now acquire an education. And some of them can travel out of this country. Some of them can travel out of this country and be whatever they want to be, to the glory of God. Number 4, and that is the last one, creating evangelistic bridges among people of other faiths. Far too long, we have failed and neglected reaching out to Muslims. We just want to carry the gospel by mouth. No, remember our definition of Christian witness, the gospel by life, by word, and by deed. So what we are hoping to achieve is that the times we are, that we can take the opportunities of the crisis to reach out to Muslims, to unbelievers with human needs, whether through hospitals, whether through medical care, or whether through agriculture, or through water supply, or through education, we can reach out. We want to transform mission fields in every ECWA mission field to the extent that when a missionary drops in the society, agriculture is boosting, health care is boosting up, and every other thing, so that the next neighboring village, who otherwise will not accept a Christian, a missionary, will invite us to say, please bring a missionary to our village. We have seen what is happening in this village. Please bring us. Because if we stop at the way we are doing now, they will keep closing us and closing us. We want to be the solution to the evils of the society, and the only way we can do it is to go through holistic mission. But that requires huge capital. That is not small money. From now to the end of the year, we want to have 1 million people sign up for Golden Supporter. That alone automatically gives us 5 billion naira. Now imagine if we sign up 5 million people. Now don't forget, it's not everybody that will sign. I wouldn't expect any one of you to sign 5,000 here. If you do, fine, okay, no problem, we like it, but then I don't expect that. I can tell you mine because I was the first person that signed. The reason why I asked for the net is net, you call it. I signed off my 2 months net to Golden Supporter. I will expect that probably some of you do better, because looking at your faces, some of you here, you have so much money, and so you can diamond like 4 or 5, but some of us are struggling, right? So we can capitalize on these opportunities. As poverty and hunger ravages community after community, people are becoming hopeless. We can cash in on this, because last year we distributed food in Muslim communities, and our churches increased by 500%. Just because of giving them food. And this is the time they can capitalize. People are all over this country are caught in poverty trap. And once we can deal with that, it actually can solve most of the problems that we have, right? So life is easy. So these factors are minimal factors provide us with the clearest opportunity to reach out. Believe me, in spite of the evil you see, it is the biggest opportunity. There has never been an opportunity to preach the gospel like this moment. Whether to Fulani people, whether to Muslims, whether to Hausa people, this is the inroad. As long as we can cash in and use the right arsenal and use the right tools, we're able to bring down and take down the knot for the God with the gospel. How do we get involved? To be involved, just pick a commitment form from the pastor of your church, and right now we have them in this hall. Just before you go out, it will be shared. You already have the one that explains fill it. If you can fill it immediately, we'll be glad. Because sometimes don't even wait and think, just fill it and return it. By faith, just take the bull. But the day I will sign, I'll say, I will give 2 of my nets. At least I will receive 10 salaries 10 times in a year, not 12 times. I said, okay, yes, I will do it. And you know what? I'm so happy that I did it, and you can do the same. While donating, just 5,000 yearly makes you an EMS Golden Supporter. We urge you to give more. If you just give 5,000, you are part of this big network of change. But we will explore you to do more, and then God will bless you. This is what EMS have. And then lastly, I want us to watch this clip, and then as we wrap up.
A world without Christ is a world in Christ. And the Lord Jesus Christ left his throne in heaven in order to come and save mankind. That is mission.
How can they believe in the one of whom they have not heard? And how can they hear without someone preaching to them? And how can they preach unless they are sent? The hunger for Christ continues to invade communities every day. It is people coming to ask us to come evangelize them. God has blessed us with zealous, obedient missionaries, obeying the Great Commission, transforming lives, changing communities. We have close to 2,000 missionaries working in 19 countries among 200 different people groups. To push back the forces of evil and invade the kingdoms of this world and make them the kingdom of our Lord Jesus Christ, and to check the current insurgency in Africa, we are determined to increase our mission fields from 2,000 mission stations to 10,000 mission stations all over Africa and the world in the next few years. For us to do more to change the narrative of missions, we at EMS of ECWA are poised to raising the number of supporters from 1,600 to 1 million supporters. We are introducing a new opportunity, the Golden Supporter.
The EMS Golden Supporter is a network of EMS supporters who wants to spread the gospel throughout the landscape of Africa.
A Golden Supporter is anyone who is part of the network of all ECWA members or non-ECWA members who will give at least 5,000 Naira annually to support the work of missions through EMS of ECWA. While the minimum of 5,000 yearly makes you a Golden Supporter, we urge you to do much more. We want you to be our biggest supporter. Yes, you can give as much as you can.
I am a Golden Supporter. I'm inviting you, honestly inviting you to be part of this interesting network, pushing the gospel in Africa, not just pushing but deepening it to the glory of God.
God is the God of mission, and for every child of God, we need all to be involved in missions. My name is Reverend Yunus Madu. I am the ECWA General Secretary. I endorse the Golden Supporters, and I am one of them.
I am Reverend Dr. Stephen Panya Baba, and salvation of souls is the topmost priority of ECWA. Give to EMS for the salvation of souls. Be a Golden Supporter of EMS. I am one.
To be part of this movement, sign up by logging into our website www.emsofequa.org to fill in the Golden Supporters form. ECWA members can also collect the Golden Supporters commitment from their local church pastors. For more inquiries, you can call us on. You can follow us on Facebook at EMS of ECWA and on Instagram at EMS of ECWA, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at EMS of ECWA for more information. Be part of what God is doing. Jesus is Lord.